Friend, let me tell you something from the heart. At 80 years old, I've learned that the two things you absolutely can't afford to lose are your circulation and your intimacy. One keeps your body alive, the other keeps your spirit alive. You lose both, and you start to fade faster than an old photograph in the sun. And the funny part? I didn't fully understand that until I was already in my 70s. By then, I thought intimacy was something only young people had time for. And circulation? Well, that was something I only noticed when I stood up too quickly and my knees sounded like a popcorn machine. But life has a way of surprising you. You see, it's never too late to rediscover parts of yourself you thought were gone. And for me, that rediscovery came with something as simple, as ancient, and as pleasurable as wine. Yes, wine, my friend. Not just for toasting weddings or fancy dinners, but as a secret companion for health, warmth, and, let's be honest, spice in the bedroom. Now, you might chuckle at that, an old man like me talking about intimacy as if I were still in my prime. But believe me, just because the hair's turned white doesn't mean the fire's gone out. If anything, I feel that intimacy after 60, 70, even 80 is deeper, more meaningful, and dare I say, more exciting than it ever was in youth. Because it's not about proving anything anymore. It's about connection, closeness, laughter, and the courage to still want and be wanted. And wine, well, it plays a bigger role in that than you might expect. Let me take you back about 10 years. I was 70, sitting at a little Italian restaurant with a woman I was seeing at the time. Sweet lady, younger than me by about a decade. She suggested we order a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. At the time, I was more of a cup of tea before bed kind of man. But I thought, why not? Life's too short to keep saying no. So we ordered it. I took that first sip, and friend, I swear it was like waking up a part of myself that had been asleep for years. The taste was bold, full, and smooth. It lingered, just like a good kiss. That night, I went home and felt different, warmer. My hands weren't as cold, my feet felt less like blocks of ice, and my heart felt lighter, freer. Over the next few weeks, we kept sharing a glass or two at dinner, and slowly but surely, I noticed something remarkable. My circulation improved. My energy levels were higher. I wasn't dragging myself out of bed in the morning. And yes, intimacy became easier. The closeness between us grew, not just emotionally, but physically. And I realized something then. This wasn't just coincidence. There was something in that glass that was doing good work. That was my first real experience with Cabernet Sauvignon, the first of the 4 wines I want to tell you about today. If I had to describe it, I'd say it's like a loyal old friend, the one who always has your back, even when you're stumbling. It's packed with antioxidants, particularly something called polyphenols that keep your blood vessels wide open, letting your circulation run smoothly. Think of it like sending a maintenance crew down your arteries with little brushes, cleaning things up so your blood can flow with ease. And you know what better blood flow means, don't you? It means warmth, energy, and yes, intimacy. Because intimacy isn't just about desire, it's about having the circulation to make that desire a reality. Now, don't go thinking I'm telling you to drink bottles of the stuff. No, no, no. Moderation, my friend. That's the golden word. A glass with dinner, maybe 2 if you're celebrating. Anything more, and you'll be boosting your headaches more than your intimacy. But that first lesson with Cabernet Sauvignon taught me something. Wine can be more than a drink. It can be medicine, joy, and connection all at once. And speaking of connection, let me tell you, wine has this way of breaking down walls between people. I can't count the number of times I've sat across from someone, maybe stiff and awkward at first, and after a few sips of wine, the conversation flows like a river. Suddenly you're laughing, telling stories you hadn't thought about in years, and feeling closer than ever. At 80, that's one of the things I value most. It's not just about health, it's about moments. And a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon has given me many of those. But of course, Cabernet isn't the only one. No. The second wine I discovered became like the spark in my old engine, keeping me running smoother than I had in years. And that was Pinot Noir. Oh, friend, this one deserves its own chapter. Pinot Noir is different. Where Cabernet is bold and strong, Pinot Noir is smooth, gentle, almost flirtatious. It doesn't hit you like a hammer. It slides in like a soft melody. And here's the secret. It's one of the richest wines in resveratrol. That's a fancy word for something that basically acts like youth in a bottle. Resveratrol improves your blood flow, reduces inflammation, and even helps your heart stay young. I started drinking Pinot Noir regularly. Again, just a glass or so with dinner. And the results? Let's just say I began to feel like a man in his 50s than in his 70s. One evening, I remember, I had just finished a small glass of Pinot Noir with dinner. My lady friend leaned over and said, "Paul, there's a light in your eyes tonight I haven't seen in years." I chuckled, but inside, I knew she was right. I felt alive. I felt like the blood was rushing through me like a river, fueling not just my body, but my spirit. And let me tell you, that night, that was one of the most intimate and connected evenings I'd had in decades. Not because of the wine alone, but because the wine gave me the circulation, the confidence, and the warmth to open up and really be there, fully, for someone else. That's the magic of Pinot Noir. It's not just about health, it's about how it makes you feel. And when you feel good, you can give more of yourself to someone else. That's what intimacy is really about. At this age, it's not about speed or acrobatics. I'd probably break a hip if I tried any of that. It's about presence, about being fully there, about making someone feel cherished. And if a glass of Pinot Noir helps me get there, then I'll raise my glass proudly. Now, friend, before I get carried away, and trust me, I can talk about this all night, I want to pause and say something important. If you're enjoying this little journey with me, if you're smiling, nodding, or even just curious about what this old man has to say, do me a small favor. Hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. That way you and I can keep sharing these stories, these lessons, and these laughs together. I've got plenty more to share, believe me. 8 decades of living gives you a whole library of stories, and I'd love for you to be part of that library. All right, where was I? Ah yes, Pinot Noir. You know, there's another reason I love it. It reminds me that age doesn't have to mean heaviness. Cabernet is strong, yes, but Pinot Noir reminds me that life can still be light, smooth, playful. And that's a lesson worth remembering. Because too many people my age walk around like they're carrying the world on their shoulders. They forget to laugh, to flirt, to dance a little, even if it's just in the kitchen. Wine teaches you that. It loosens you, not in a sloppy way, but in a freeing way. And at 80, freedom is a gift. Now, don't go anywhere, because the next 2 wines I want to tell you about are even more surprising. One of them is white, which most people don't expect to be good for circulation, and the other has a reputation for intimacy that goes back centuries. But I'll save those stories for just a little later, because if I give you everything all at once, what fun would that be? Life's like a good glass of wine. You gotta sip it slowly, savor it, let it linger before moving on to the next. Now, my dear friend, if you've stayed with me this long, you deserve a proper toast. Because let me tell you, most people these days don't have the patience to sit and listen to an old man talk for hours. They scroll, they click, They move on to the next shiny thing. But you're still here, sipping on my words like they're a fine vintage. And for that, I'm grateful. You're the kind of person I'd gladly share a bottle with, sitting out on the porch, letting the night breeze carry our laughter into the stars. So let's not waste a drop more time. We've already talked about Cabernet Sauvignon, the bold night that clears your bloodstream, and Pinot Noir, the smooth charmer that keeps your heart young. But the third wine? Now we're stepping into something a little lighter, a little sunnier. Let me introduce you to Sauvignon Blanc. Yes, a white wine. Most folks don't believe me when I say it can help with circulation because everyone associates health benefits with red wine. But Sauvignon Blanc is like that quiet kid in school who surprises you by growing up to be a star. It's crisp, refreshing, and packed with something your body desperately needs, catechins. These little compounds are champions at improving blood flow and reducing clotting, which in plain English means they help your heart pump easier, your veins stay clear, and your body feel less sluggish. I remember one summer afternoon, not long after I'd turned 75, when I was invited to a small garden party. The hostess served chilled Sauvignon Blanc. Normally, I'd have gone for red, but the day was hot, the sun was beating down, and I thought, why not try something different? I took a sip, and it was like tasting sunshine. Crisp, citrusy, a little grassy. It wasn't heavy or bold, but it felt alive, fresh, like a breeze running through your veins. And wouldn't you know it, that very evening, I found myself dancing barefoot on the grass with a woman who was every bit as spirited as the wine in my hand. My joints didn't ache, my legs didn't feel heavy, and my heart didn't protest one bit. That was the Sauvignon Blanc working its magic, boosting circulation, giving me lightness, reminding me that joy doesn't have to be heavy to be powerful. And friend, let me say this. There's something deeply intimate about sharing a chilled glass of Sauvignon Blanc on a summer evening. You clink glasses, the condensation drips down your fingers, and you laugh like kids again. Intimacy isn't always about the bedroom, you know. Sometimes it's about those little shared moments where time slows down and you feel alive, together. That's what Sauvignon Blanc taught me. Intimacy can be playful, light, filled with joy, not just passion. And at 80, I can tell you joy is as important as anything else in keeping love alive. Now, I see you're leaning in, curious about the fourth wine. And let me tell you, I've saved the best for last. This one isn't just about circulation or antioxidants. No, this one carries with it a reputation centuries old for passion, for desire, for intimacy itself. I'm talking about champagne. Champagne. Just saying the word makes me smile. You think of celebrations, weddings, New Year's, anniversaries. But did you know that champagne has a little secret power when it comes to intimacy after 60? It's the bubbles. That light effervescence isn't just for fun. It actually helps your body absorb alcohol faster in small amounts, which means the beneficial compounds, like polyphenols, get into your bloodstream quickly. The result? Your vessels relax, your circulation improves, and suddenly you feel that warm flush of life racing through you. And let's not forget, champagne is romantic. There's nothing quite like the sound of a cork popping to make your heart skip a beat. Let me tell you about one unforgettable evening. It was my 78th birthday. My closest friends had gathered, and someone surprised me with a beautiful bottle of vintage champagne. We poured it into tall flutes, and as the bubbles danced up, I felt a spark of excitement, like I was a young man again. Later that night, as I sat with someone special, The conversation softened, the laughter deepened, and the intimacy grew naturally, effortlessly. Champagne doesn't just lift your circulation, it lifts your mood, your spirit, your confidence. And at our age, confidence is a powerful aphrodisiac. Friend, let's be honest. After 60, 70, 80, intimacy can feel like a distant memory for many. Bodies change, energy shifts, and sometimes desire hides under layers of fear or embarrassment. But that doesn't mean it's gone. It just means we have to approach it differently, with tenderness, with patience, and yes, sometimes with a little help from nature. And wine, when respected and enjoyed in moderation, is one of nature's finest gifts. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying wine is a miracle potion. It won't make you 25 again, and it won't solve every problem. But what it does is create opportunities. It warms your blood, calms your nerves, lowers your barriers, and opens the door to laughter, conversation, closeness. It reminds you that life isn't over just because the calendar says you're old. You can still feel alive, still feel wanted, still make memories worth savoring. And you know what? That's my biggest lesson in all this. Life is like wine. It gets better when shared. You can have the finest bottle in the world, but if you drink it alone in silence, it's just another drink. Share it with someone you love, and suddenly it's magic. Suddenly it's a moment you'll remember forever. At 80, I don't chase possessions or achievements anymore. I chase moments. A sunset with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, a laugh over Pinot Noir, a spark of passion with champagne. That's the treasure of this stage of life. So, my friend, if you take anything from this old man's rambling, let it be this. Don't be afraid to enjoy life's little pleasures. Don't let fear or age stop you from reaching out for closeness, for love, for intimacy. And don't underestimate the humble power of 4 simple wines: Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, and Champagne. Each of them has taught me something about circulation, about intimacy, about living fully even when the years keep piling up. And before I go, let me leave you with a little joke, because what's life without laughter? They say wine gets better with age, but honestly, at 80, I'm starting to think maybe age gets better with wine. So here's my toast to you, my dear friend. May your circulation stay strong, your intimacy stay alive, and may your glass always be half full. And remember, don't just sip wine, sip life, savor it, share it, because at the end of the day, that's what makes these years golden.